Do I feel good today? My goodness. What's up, everybody? Welcome into your sports and sports betting brand of record. We call it Driving the Line. It feels like we've been here for 7 years. It's only our 7th day, and thank you for finding us on a Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We are here every single weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, our golf brand Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, normally this would be the time in the show that we tell you what we did yesterday, but I'm so terrified of looking at that screen that I need some help. Let's bring in the stars of the show. And just like Peggy says in the chat, everyone in the chat should feel good today after the Cruise picks yesterday. Coach Phil is here. My 5-tool player and business partner, AB, is here. And AB, I know we got to talk about the games yesterday and get to the games today. But what we did yesterday, I am terrified to show everybody the recap screen for those who may not have been watching yesterday. How do you feel about it?
Coach, I am frightened. Oh, look at that one right
there. Wow. Look at that. 15-2. And those eyeballs up in the top right-hand corner, we've already nailed 2 of those. And if the Lions win today, that will cash as well. Now, Coach Phil, I know you love Howie Schwab, and he's not here right now. He had to stop by the fire station so he could cool himself off before he comes back to the show, and he'll be here in like 5-10 minutes.
That was amazing. So when I saw that graphic, it made sense to me, because when you were winning these, you were sending these notifications going ding, ding, ding. It sounded like I was on the show. All right. So speaking of Howie, can't wait to have him back on here. But you guys were so high. You guys were hot yesterday. I loved it.
So we're going to get to that in just a second. But before we, as always, here on Driving the Line, we must look back. And yesterday, the 2 number 1 seeds. And it was almost like we played the games out here on the show, Phil, before they even said. We said the number 1 seeds, they hadn't played in a couple of weeks. They would start a little bit slow. Ravens tied at 10 at the half. 49ers, they never really got going until the 4th quarter, but then they started to show exactly why. Who were you more impressed with, the 24-point win by the Ravens or the fact that the 49ers did it late, get the job done with 1 minute to go game?
I think it was the Ravens. Just some of the defensive adjustments that I saw them make, the pursuit to the football. I just thought they just dominated the second half. The Ravens were more impressive to me, but it was interesting because we talked about nerves, all week, and talked about being in there and those 1 seeds having the time off. And that's not just something that we make up. I spent a lot of time talking to former players that I played with or teammates, and they gave me a lot of great insight so I could share with you guys.
Now, yesterday we made this incredible graphic. We teased it looked like Tecmo Bowl, but AB, the first touchdown of the game by George Kittle's, with Howie predicted, by the way, it was exactly the route that you put on the show today. So the research is certainly there. But then for Lamar Jackson on the other side to have 100 yards rushing and really play like the MVP that he is going to be, shutting out the Texans 24-0 in the second half. What impressed you the most?
The Baltimore Ravens in the second half, right? Not only offensively did they look fantastic, but defensively, they shut that game down. And I was laughing because we were texting during the game, and it was, 10-10. They go into halftime, and we were texting like, John Harbaugh's about to get in that ass. He is not going to be happy. And right after the game, a reporter asked Lamar Jackson and said, what caused that flip in the game? The second half, you guys were a completely different team. Lamar literally says, I can't say any of the words that John Harbaugh said to us. He goes, but we got the point. So 100%, man. They figured out and knew what time it was. That was a great second half against a Texans team that was playing good football, really good football.
Yeah, and we talked about it a lot yesterday, and we'll move on here shortly. But, Phil, we said that when you get to the playoffs, you lean in to the guys that have been there before. We saw that with the Ravens, not so much with the Texans. We saw that with the 49ers. Brock Purdy, he's not a rookie anymore. He had the best drive of his entire career. It mattered the most. That's how you become a big-time superstar. It's not like what Dak does and do it in the regular season, not in the playoffs. But we saw the stars and the veterans, especially when a guy like Debo gets knocked out of the game. I think we're going to see more of that today. Did you see that a lot the way you watched the game?
I absolutely agree with that. I think talent plus experience equals success when you're talking about a playoff formula to win football games. Talking to guys who have played in the divisional games, talking to guys that have coached in the divisional games and also the champs and also the Super Bowl, the experience helps the game slow down. Ryan Clark had a piece today talking about how slow the game was for him after a certain number of years. So I think experience and talent will win out again today.
And from a betting perspective, AB, the one double-digit favorite covered, the other did not. One over came in with that last-second field goal from the Ravens, which cashed our ticket with Tucker as well. And then the other over didn't come in. So we saw a little bit of both. Do you think today we see offense, or do you think we'll have maybe a little bit of both today like yesterday?
Both games today should feature offense. Now, my question is going to be, how long are these drives going to be sustained? And I mean it for all four teams. All right. We saw the Bucs come out against the Eagles and really press the ball down the field through the air, right? I mean, they were throwing deep, and quite frankly, there were a lot of drops in that first half.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa could have looked even better. Baker Mayfield was throwing dimes all over the field, but I really do think the Detroit Lions have probably a top 2-3 play caller in the league, right, in Ben Johnson, and this offense can just be phenomenal and not only be efficient, score, but just take your offense out of the game and just run clock. And then on the other side, Chiefs-Bills, it's going to be just a heavyweight fight. Like once that first team punches in a touchdown, throw out everything that you wrote down and planned because it's on now. Like you're just fighting outside of the bar and you got to go, man. Like it is going to be great. I can't wait.
Phil, go.
I couldn't agree with it. He was saying second or third best. I was just saying Ben Johnson's the number one play caller for me in the NFL right now. We did a lot of film study this week. I was just making a number one sign. I mean, it is going to be awesome. And Canales is not far behind him. This is going to be a sensational Sunday.
Last thing, real quick. Sorry, not to interrupt, but it's fun. It's going to be interesting to watch the Lions, both their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, right? And then Glenn, the defensive coordinator on the other side, are literally two of the hottest candidates that are out there. And they're both coaching, saying, I'm ready to be a head coach. Like the Lions could show out today, man. It could be a fun game.
If people are wondering why some of these head coaching spots have not been filled, look at the Lions game today. When Lions get knocked out, you're going to see stuff just start flying because of who is not available to be talked to yet. Now, if you are brand new to Driving the Line, first of all, where you been? We've been here for 6 freaking days. But second of all, we do things differently. We put all of our picks right at the top of the show on the ticker. So if you get impatient, you have them right there in real time. But we also have a crew pick of the day. So who does the crew have to make sense? Who are they picking from, AB? What are the 4 choices?
The 4 choices are this, and I'll put it right on the screen. Let me pull the banner down for 1 second. Let me just say, the crew is kicking ass at these 2 picks, 2 wins. They are just stunting, man. Just all over it. Last night hit on Christian McCaffrey, 2+ touchdowns and plus money. Here's what the crew has today. So your 4 options, and vote in the chat. You'll see the poll right there at the top. So number 1, Bucs plus 10.5. And the game over 40.5 at -105. Okay. Number 2, Sam Laporta, anytime touchdown. All right. Lions money line plus 150. Chiefs plus 6.5. And the game over 40.5 at plus 130. And then Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. And the Bills money line, just win the game at plus 175. So like we said, vote in the chat now, and we will recap what is the pick with the highest votes at the end of the show.
And you can get all of those plays at BetMGM, correct?
Correct, sir.
All right. Let's jump right in. Game number 1 in exactly 48 minutes from now. The average ticket price over $1,100. They are fired up. They are ready. This is a rematch from the regular season when the Lions went to Tampa and just completely shut the Bucs offense down. 20-6 was the score. The Lions are laying less than a touchdown. It's been hovering around 5.5 to 6. If you want to bet on the Bucs to win the game, that money line is plus 220, and the total 49.5 as we speak. So, as always, you know where we start. We've got one of the best coaches in the game. How about the Bucs? Coach Phil's keys to the game. Let's go.
Let's start right with Baker Mayfield. He is dangerous. He's not feeling dangerous. This young man is dangerous. He's living up to that number 1 pick overall this year. He's playing confident. He's playing consistent. He's accurate. He's showing grit and leadership. And all that's been brought out of him by offensive coordinator Dave Canales, who's a revolutionary new face for the Bucs. This guy's interviewing for head coaching jobs in his first year of calling plays. What a sensational play caller he is. He'll be fun to watch today as well. Getting into the offensive skill that Baker will be throwing to. Mike Evans, a lot going on here. Again, physical mismatch, should be able to dominate the secondary that he's going to face just from a physicality standpoint. But this is the last game, possibly, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He asked for a new contract early in the year. Didn't get it, so probably going to be somewhere else, going to be a coveted free agent. So, again, this could be his last game if they don't win. Going to Chris Godwin. I love the play strength and run after catch. He will be a problem for Detroit's defensive secondary. Rachaad White, again, 1,500 yards combined. He's kind of the X factor. If they can get him going, then they'll have a great chance of having consistent drives against this Lions defense. Moving over to the Bucs defense. Todd Bowles is historically one of the best, defensive coaches in the playoffs. Had Tom Brady running for his life in the he had Patrick Mahomes running for his life in the Super Bowl. The pass rush has been great from guys that you don't even really know that are creating great pressure. Opportunistic with the takeaways. Levante David and Devin White, absolutely 2 of the best run and hit linebackers, and they are shutting running backs down in the pass game with an 80 rating, which is number 1 in the NFL. The rush defense only averaging 3.9 yards per carry, so doing a great job on the backs. And then 95 yards per game overall. Again, that's 5th in the NFL. Sensational run defense. They're 7th in sacks with 48, and pressure is going to be key. And Goff has given up 6 picks versus pressure, so that's something to watch today.
I encourage you to have your paper, have your pencil, just like I do, because this is more than just about picks. When you're watching the games, just like you did yesterday, use that knowledge as you're watching. Say, okay, I can use this for next week or in 2 weeks. All of this stuff matters. And Phil's keys are always spot on. Abe, wait a second. Where did he just come from? Howie Schwab, the hottest man in sports betting. Good afternoon, sir.
I came from a store where I learned a very valuable lesson in life. Make sure they put everything in your cart when you leave. And don't find it out when you're in the car saying, honey, that was great what you got. Wait, where is it?
Been there.
Oh, curse word. Anyway.
Well, hopefully everybody
we got it. I thought it would be here on time. I didn't even put the light on.
That's okay. We're good. We got a lot to get to. We got to move, Howie. There he is. There he is. All right, now I got to ask you, our first play of the game, we just got done with the Bucs keys. You like the over with Baker Mayfield. I do. I like an under, and I'll get to mine in a second. Why do you like Baker to really find the spots today against this Lions defense?
Because they can't run the ball against them. When they played them the first time, and I know it's different, bottom line is this. They average under 3 yards a carry. And Baker Mayfield didn't have a fantastic game, but he had a good enough game. But he's a more refined quarterback right now. He's more accurate. And I think with Evans being maybe his last game, the key to me, I think, is going to be Godwin. I think Godwin's going to have a huge game. But bottom line is, yes, I took Baker over, but I like the Lions to win the game. Laporta, I threw out there. Not even knowing if he's going to play because he was questionable. Mm-hmm. As of a half an hour ago, I hadn't heard for sure.
He's up.
That's what I figured. And I'll stick to that. Touchdown anytime, a good number. I like that.
All right, Scott in the chat.
Lions are a fascinating team to me, but it's going to be a fun day.
Yeah, we'll get back to the Lions in a second. I'll come right back to you. I promise you that. Scott in the chat was asking that question, who they're going to pass to, because I like Mike Evans under 73.5. And normally, as we talked about yesterday with Howie and Phil and AB, you feed into the stars. But when I look deeper, gentlemen, and I looked at the numbers last week, 3 for 48, 3 for 22, 3 for 70. You had 1 for 786, but then 4 for 57. 4 of the last 5 weeks. Mike Evans has gone under this number, not over the number. And just like Howie said, Chris Godwin could have a big game today, but I do not think that Mike Evans will have a big game, at least not over 73.5. Howie, looks like you need to say something.
Yeah, Evans also, I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me because, of course, I printed them out. What was it? 46, was it? I'm sorry. I'm all over the place
3
today.
for 48 last week.
Yeah. No. The first game.
They didn't do it. They didn't do anything the first game. They scored 6 points.
I think he had 46, but I can't read my notes. I usually I'm prepared. This has been insanity.
That's all right. Guess what, Howie? You were undefeated yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
9-0. That's all we care about because you bring the knowledge. It doesn't matter if you have the numbers. Now, I got to get over to AB because AB, when you don't like anything on the Bucs side, before we get the Lions keys of the game, why didn't you find anything with the Bucs that you liked?
It's hard to trust them, just like that store associate who should be carrying all of my man Howie's groceries out on a red carpet after what this man has done all week long. I tell you what, I'll go down there myself and carry him into the house and align him perfectly. You deserve that. But I'll say this. We're playing an AB3 today. You're right. We are bringing it back. And that's where I want to hit on it. So you'll see we have a Baker Mayfield interception. The no-fly zone for my man is open today. We're going to pair that with Jared Goff 20-plus completions because Todd Bowles' that run defense is strong. The Lions are going to have to use the short passing game as a de facto run game. And then, Sam Laporta, 40-plus receiving yards, so plus 220. So, Coach, nothing really I like with the Bucs except Bakes. Yeah, he's throwing a pick.
Wasn't that nice, by the way? Wasn't that nice to have the Jordan Love throw that interception in the second half last night right after CMC scored his first touchdown of the game? Had a lot of good late sweats yesterday. In the chat, Brandon says, damn, Coach, no love for Cade Otton. Phil, should we have love for Cade Otton today?
So I was thinking about putting him into the breakdown. I don't want to spend 2 minutes. I'm a stickler for my time. That's why I talk so quickly. But Cade Otton had 3 drops in the first half last week. And when I looked at him, for me, the 2 biggest things are hands and toughness. Like that's what I look for. And he's tough, but I just didn't love the hands. The 3 drops were a little bit much for me. So he had to end up having like 80 yards receiving. So I get it. He probably went over his number, but just the drops for me as a receiver coach were a little problematic at that level against the Eagles because they could have won by 3 touchdowns.
Sure.
If he would have caught those 3 balls. So I couldn't get out of my head those drops just from my chair.
And quickly, I know yesterday we cashed real late, Howie, on Tucker's over 1.5. Last week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had 4 field goals made. Did you look at that at all this week?
But to me, I like Detroit to win the game, and I think Detroit will get ahead, and Tampa Bay will have to go for touchdowns, not field goals. So that's why I skipped that a bit. One that you picked, I saw on your list just now, and I considered and probably should have gone with, but didn't because I hadn't looked up the numbers before. Armand St. Brown.
Whoa. We'll get to that. We haven't got to the line yet.
I'm sorry. When you come late to the show and you F everything up, you just immediately try to,
you just keep doing it.
Catch up on what I missed.
That's all right.
But
you didn't miss anything.
That much, I guess.
No, you didn't miss. We talked about it yesterday. We're just getting. You missed nothing. Well, you missed nothing.
Oh,
yes.
Yesterday was fun.
Yeah. All right, Phil. Now we got to get to the Lions' keys to the game. What do we got?
All right, let's talk about these guys. The Lions, I love them. Ben Johnson and the skill players, we'll focus on them. We'll start with them. Ben Johnson, one of the most innovative play callers, even with the run game. They got gap schemes, wide zone, inside zone. They're doing a great job with all the run game stuff, not just a pass game guy. But the 2 running backs I want to talk about are David Montgomery. In between the tackles, this guy is one of the premier running backs. Will get downhill on you, can score touchdowns from about 25 yards out. This guy can finish runs. He's an excellent running back. The weapon is Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield. He can do it all. He's a little slightly built compared to Montgomery, but he has the explosiveness to finish a screen pass, an outside zone, even run out there and run routes. This guy's very versatile. Love this player. Jared Goff had 30 touchdowns this year. He had 277 yards and a touchdown last week, 121 rating, so he's playing good football. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7 for 110, the sun god. This guy does it all. He is tough. He's physical. He catches the ball with his hands. He finishes plays. He can run after catch. He knows what to do. They motion him. This guy is a premier player. Love everything he's doing. One player to watch today that I feel could get loose is Josh Reynolds. He had 5 for 80. He's smooth. He has courage, and he has excellent play speed with the ball under his arm. Sam Laporta's back with a heavily braced knee, but he will play. He scored last week. I love this rookie. He can fly when he's healthy, but he's also a big body with great hands. Jameson Williams is also an X factor for me on a deep play. I don't like him catching a ton of passes, but there's always an X-ray post he might catch or get loose on a deep go route. So look for JMO possibly for a yardage total. The Bucs allowed 1,047 yards, to tight ends. That's 30th in the league. So that's why I think Laporta is a positive play. Let's switch over to the Detroit defense for a second here. Can this Detroit defense create turnovers and sacks? All right. They've given up yards. All right. You see it every week that people drive the football on them, but they find a way to make them kick a field goal, or they turn them over, or they have a big sack with Aiden Hutchinson on third down. Aiden Hutchinson is playing great football. He's a terrifying defensive end. He can bat the ball up and even catch the ball. He can drop into coverage and catch it. He can rush the passer. He can stop the run. This guy is everything that you want, a top 5 pick to be. The defense, like I told you, they give up a ton of yards. They gave up 181 yards to Puka Nacua last week. And the 2 corners that are struggling a little bit are Cam Sutton and Kendall Vildor. And you have Godwin and Evans coming to town. So that's potentially something to continue to monitor as the game progresses. One player I really am high on the defense is Brian Branch. He's a nickel. He had 7 tackles last week. They only caught 2 catches for 8 yards with him. And this is a bend but don't break defense. Field goals are okay. They need to turn them over and sack the quarterback.
I love those keys to the game and the breakdown. So I'm going to go next because I know that I love your energy, Phil. I know that Howie has something to say about my play. So I'm going to go right now. I'm on St. Brown. And the reason I like him, I told you guys yesterday, stars step up in the playoffs. And yes, you can look at the previous games, and I did. But when you get to this, when there's only 8 teams remaining heading into the weekend, I want stars. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, over 91.5. Yeah, that's a big number. But last week, he went for 7 for 110. The week before, when they had to have it against the Vikings, 7 for 144. Against the Cowboys, 6 for 90. He's been sailing either close to this number or over this number is minus 130 at BetMGM. Then I like his longest reception, over 25.5. Now, the last 5 games, 30, 70, 23, 25, 29. Those are his longest receptions. Either he's getting there or he's going over that number. I can foresee a nice middle route about 30 yards down the field at some point today to catch this one. Then Jahmyr Gibbs, under 48.5 rushing yards. Last week, he only had 8 rushes for 25. They're really leaning into David Montgomery on the ground. The week before that, 13 carries for 30 yards. And as Howie just said, you can't run against this Bucs defense or vice versa. So those are my 3 plays, Howie. What would you like to say about Amon-Ra St. Brown?
First meeting, 12 catches, 124 yards. He killed Tampa. Could do it again. And like you said, he's been hot. So to me, I probably should have thrown him in, and I probably should have thrown in the Baker Mayfield interception because he'll probably throw one no matter what because of the line pressure defense with Hutchinson. But I stick with what I have. Laporta, to me, is always a threat to get in the end zone. And I picked the Lions overall to win the game and cover the 6. And so there's where I am.
I like where you're at because you hit on a lot of what I'm doing and also, AB, what you are doing. And part of the reason we don't see catches up there is because just look what happened yesterday. Dobbs cashed his yardage for me on 1 catch. So we're seeing a lot of teams throw the ball down the field, which also could lead to interceptions as well. Do you think that we have it right, yards as opposed to catches?
Love looking at yardage instead of catches. Now, I'll say this, though. For the Lions, receptions, I do believe, are going to be at a positive game script, so to say, because, again, as you both mentioned, that Todd Bowles defense for the Bucs, they really don't let you run all that much. I mean, they were shutting down Jalen Hurts and the tush push. Nobody did that this season, and they did it twice with ease, son. Like, they were not worried about it at all. But here's the thing, all right? So, look, from yesterday, we've got the Ravens money line, 49ers money line, Lions money line plus 105. Just need them to win the game. We also have the Lions money line today, and both the Bucs and the Lions each to score over 1.5 touchdowns plus 135. We don't have to worry about extra points. We don't have to worry about total points, team totals, going for 2, any of that. Touchdown, any way possible. Offense, defense, special teams. So we're going to play that plus 135. And then again on the AB3. All right. So Jared Goff, 20-plus completions. Again, you can't run the football. What do? You throw short, right? You throw long, and you go back and forth here. And I think Jared Goff is going to have 20-plus completions. His number's 23.5, so we brought it down a little bit. I don't mind the 23.5, honestly. The juice is just getting too high. But here's the thing, the biggest part. Sam Laporta, all right, 40-plus receiving yards. Played at Iowa, all right, the Hawkeyes. Kirk Ferentz. You ever met anyone from Iowa? They're tough as hell. You're not going to stop these people at all. They are the heartland of America. I'm not even kidding. These people are beasts. And Sam Laporta, not only is he playing, your man, you could cut both his knees out. He ain't worried about it. He's going to keep going and keep going down the field. I love everything about this dude. His juice, his energy is always high, and Goff is going to look for him because he can trust him. So, yeah, Sam Laporta, all in, man.
Howie, go.
What do you mean Detroit can't run the ball? Between Montgomery and Gibbs, they can run the ball against Tampa.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I
throw
disagree.
the ball down the field, and they're going to have a field day. I love the Lions in this game.
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah, the only thing about with Vita Vea, Casey Rogers is their D-line coach, right? So like they statistically have shut people down the running. I do believe they're going to be able to run the ball, particularly with the perimeter run game with some of the down and around toss crack stuff. I don't believe you're going to be able to run the ball at Vita Vea and the D tackles. So you're going to have to be able to do it. You can do speed sweeps. They all count for rushing yards, and you got to be creative. But statistically, it does show you that it's been difficult to run on this team. But with Detroit, they have the ability with the differentiated backs to potentially run some sophisticated run schemes and get the yardage that you guys are talking about.
I see them running outside a lot.
That's what I'm saying to you.
That's
Yeah,
what
no,
I love.
I'm agreeing.
I love the discussion because not everybody's going to be right, but we throw it all in there, and then you watch the game, and that's how you learn, especially when you're a sports fan, NFL fan. Then quickly, AB, go.
Yeah, real quick. All right, John Dalton, I saw you just please help someone. Look, drop your Venmo in the chat. I'll hit you right here. Tell me what you need. We got you, man. We'll get you all set up. Yeah, just drop it right there. I got you. You ain't got to do anything else.
All right. Thanks, John. Thank you.
What a
That's
man.
what the key takes care of each other. All right. Now, we are literally hitting the bottom of the hour. It is 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. In exactly 4 hours, it is the game of the weekend. You guys know I'm wearing my Showtime. Here on Driving the Line, we don't hide our fandom. Some networks say, hey, Coach. Howie knows it. Hey, Coach, you can't talk about who you're a fan. Baloney. Everybody knows, born and raised in Kansas. Just was there 2 weeks ago to visit the folks. This is a rematch from the regular season. Just like the Lions going on the road to beat the Bucs, the Bills went on the road to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead 20-17. This has become the matchup between superstar quarterbacks in the league, Mahomes and Josh Allen. So here's the numbers according to BetMGM. The Bills, this has been stuck right on 2.5 all week long. Moneyline, Chiefs coming back the other way, plus 125. And the total sitting currently at 45.5. Coach Phil, let's start with the Chiefs. Keys to the game.
Absolutely, Coach. I cannot wait to talk about the Chiefs. You know, the biggest question for me is, can Patrick Mahomes continue this historic pace that he's been on in the playoffs? It's the first time he's ever going to be on the road, so it could add to his lore and legend that's become Patrick Mahomes. He's 2-0 versus Josh Allen in the playoffs. This guy led the league in scrambles for first down, so that could be a variable as well. And some of the weapons that he'll be throwing to tonight will be Rashee Rice, to me, one of the most valuable receivers in the postseason right now. He had 8 for 130 and a touchdown versus Miami. He's developing into a consistent number one, and I think the sky's the limit with this guy and Patrick. Isaiah Pacheco did not play in their regular season contest. I believe it was week 14. He did not play, so he will be a huge factor in that running game tonight. Runs excellent between the tackles, runs harder than anybody in the league, in my opinion. Love to watch the way he runs the football. Travis Swift-Kelce, I hyphenated the name just preemptively. First ballot Hall of Famer, had not scored, I believe, in 7 games, which is a little unlike him. So that's longer than his career. So he'll be looking to break out today. We'll switch over to the defense real quick. The Kansas City Chiefs' young defense has outperformed early expectations by a mile. It starts with Chris Jones, the anchor down there, plays 3 technique and knows sometimes will move out to edge, but he is a mountain of a man. He's difficult to move. He plays relentlessly, and he's just flat out violent. He led a team that had 57 sacks, which was second in the NFL, which is an outstanding advantage to have when you're trying to deal with Josh Allen. All right. So they completely shut down Miami. And one of the key members of that shutdown process was Ladarius Sneed. He is a sensational young corner out of Louisiana Tech. He's not that young anymore, but he's on the way up. He's on the rise. He shut Diggs down. They get 55 yards, or he had a 55 rating and 24 yards in their regular season matchup. And they've done a great job against tight ends with an 87.5 rating. Trent McDuffie, all-pro nickel. Love this player. And it's going to take every single one of these guys on defense to corral Josh Allen.
All right, great keys. And we got a lot of guys to talk about that Phil just mentioned. Let's start on the Chiefs side. And I think we have the wrong number either in our graphic or on. I double-checked, and the chat is always helping us out. Pacheco's number is 62.5, not 52.5. So, Howie, I'm coming to you. You like Pacheco. You also like a bet that involves Patrick Mahomes, but fading him. Tell me the two that you like.
52 instead of 62, but that was the number I saw on one book yesterday, and I guess it's wrong.
Probably went up in the last 24 hours, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? I'll stick with 62 anyway. Pacheco's going to get the ball plenty, and he's going to run outside, and he's going to get first downs and maybe break 1 or 2 nice big runs. So the 62 I like a lot. Someone's got to run the ball, and I think he will. Now, Mahomes, I end up going for the have an interception, because to me, Ed Oliver will be in his face quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And the Kansas City offensive line at times has been shaky. So I'm going with Buffalo, maybe a blitz here or there, and somehow he throws an interception. Maybe a pass off of Swift Kelsey's hands and bounces into a defensive back. I'm going to say that he does throw an interception.
Howie, this entire year, almost every single game at some point, now they got better with their receivers the last couple of weeks, but when you had those horrible weeks, we saw him just trying to force things, throwing them up across his body. I love that play. I think he will make a mistake today, at least one, maybe late first half or late in the game if they're down. I think he's going to try to do more than what he needs to because he feels like he needs to. Am I right?
I think so. I mean, the flow of the game is going to be pretty wild. I think you're going to see an attempt to be a high-scoring game, and with that comes pressure. And I think Mahomes will have some pressure, and Buffalo will be really fighting hard in this game.
Yeah, along those same lines, AB, speaking of pressure and speaking of making decisions, I think Patrick Mahomes may have to do what Lamar did yesterday. He had over 10 carries for over 100 yards. So you like Mahomes to do what today?
I love Patrick Mahomes on the ground, over 4.5 rushing attempts. Now, I do also want to say, take a look under Howie's name. Isaiah Pacheco, over 62.5 rushing yards. Got that updated. We are ready to go. Now, I am totally with it on Patrick Mahomes, all right? Like we said, over 4.5 rushing attempts, because, again, the biggest problem is not Patrick Mahomes. We trust him. It's everyone else around him, the skill guys, well, except Rashee Rice. He balled out last week. But, again, on the road, tough environment. Again, you cannot win the game in the first half, but you could damn sure lose the game in the first half by making a big mistake. So I believe that Patrick Mahomes is going to use his legs throughout. And, as we mentioned, you cannot count on this. We don't bet on this, but kneel downs do count as rushing attempts as well. So over 4.5, very attainable number here at -120.
I like those a lot. I've got 3 big plays, and I'm leaning into the stars show up. Last week, Kelsey had 70 yards. He went over my number. I love Kelce today, over 62.5 receiving yards, even though he had a subpar year for him. Even though the last 5 or 6 weeks, he really didn't do that much. I think it had a lot to do with the defense. But I think he has a big game today. Also, over 5.5 catches. I could see a lot of little 3- and 4-yard dumps just when you're 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. That's where Mahomes is going to go, because it's the playoffs, and he wants to feel secure. And secure means Travis Kelce. It also means on the outside, Rashee Rice. This guy is starting to become an absolute baller. Over 69.5 receiving yards. Last week, he went 8 for 130, 5 for 127, 9 for 91, 7 for 72. That's the last few games for him. And when talking after the game last week, Phil, the interview, I can't remember who it was, said, why do you trust this guy so much? He said, because week after week after week, he's getting better. He's learning. He's asking questions. As a former NFL wide receivers coach, how impressed have you been with what you've seen from Rice?
I think the consistency of where he is on the field, he's where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. So that builds trust with Patrick. Patrick's a guy who's a rhythm thrower. He likes to hit the back of his drop, and whether it's a 3, 5, or 7 step, hit that back foot, and that ball wants to come out. That's ideally how he wants to play football. He doesn't want to be running around for his life. So if he can find somebody like Rashee, he's a 2nd round, pick from this year. For this type of rapport usually takes a year or 2 at least, maybe longer. Some guys never develop it, but this guy has a knack for understanding how to get open. He has a trust built in with Patrick, and the sky's the limit for this duo.
Now, Howie, quickly before we get to the Bills' keys to the game, yesterday we saw the number 1 seeds. We talked about getting off to slow starts, which both did. All 4 of these teams played last week. So how important to you, which team, I guess, in this game do you think has to get off to a hotter start?
I think Detroit. I think Detroit wants to really put the pedal on the metal and get away right away, and put this game away, get the home crowd really riled up, and take Tampa out of the game. But
what about Chiefs and Bills? Who has to get off to a fast start?
Neither, because it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. This game is going to be in the 3rd and 4th quarter. The first 2 quarters, foundation-wise, yes, but I think neither feels, if I'm behind 14 points in the 3rd quarter, I can't come back. I think both feel they can do anything, and both Allan and Mahomes really feel that way in my mind. So I don't think it's that important who gets the lead, and to me, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, along those lines, we remember, what was it, 11 seconds, Phil? 12 seconds that the Chiefs got the ball and were still able to kick – that was one of the craziest innings I've ever seen, and it continues to be just an unbelievable rivalry. All right, let's go to the Bills side of things. Josh Allen, he played very, very efficient last week. Give me the keys to the game.
Yeah, we're gonna break into some of that efficiency right now. So Josh Allen and Joe Brady have a very unique chemistry. He was the quarterback coach, and then they fire Ken Dorsey, and now his position coach is calling plays. So they both know what each other likes. So that communication has led to much better play. They have 6 wins in a row. He had 44 total touchdowns on the year. That is Josh Allen combined with rushing and passing. Last week he had 203, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That is super efficient. And he also had 8 rushes for 74 yards, 9.3 yards per carry, and a tud. A great tud, by the way. One guy just to watch out, James Cooks. All right. This guy he had a 141 total yards in week 14 versus the Chiefs. So he is already shown and proven to be a viable weapon versus the Chiefs defense. Stephon Diggs did not play well against the Chiefs. He had 2 for 24, like I told you when we were talking about Snead. All right, so this is going to be some area that we really need to monitor how Stephon Diggs performs if it's going to be the high-scoring performance that we all are talking about right now. We'll switch over to the defense. This defense is disciplined and detailed, but they're dealing with several injuries, and that is the key to the game for me. Terrell Bernard is supposed to be out. They're going to work him out, but I'm anticipating him not to play. He's already replacing Matt Milano and his all-pro production, so they are really thin at the linebacking core. We have 2 cornerbacks. One plays primarily nickel slot corner, Teron Johnson. He cleared concussion protocol. He should go. But if he doesn't go, watch out. Rasul Douglas should be back. He had a knee. They were going to work him out and see if he goes. They're banged up on defense. This team, Sean McDermott does a great job of coaching sound fundamental two-shell defense primarily, and they rock and roll the safeties down to cover 3 or single safety man. One of the most sound and fundamental coaches I've ever worked for, and coached for. But this is going to take all hands on deck effort for the defense. But I will tell you this, Orchard Park will be rocking tonight.
Oh, my goodness. Will it be rocking? Howie, I'm coming right to you because Phil just mentioned a name that you like to score today. But also, and even as a Chiefs fan, I would not play the Chiefs today because I just feel like maybe this is the Bills. They've been on a great run the last 5 or 6 weeks to capture the division. So they were not a wild card team. You have 2 plays on the Bills side. Talk to me.
Well, first of all, I like the Bills to win the game. But I love Cook to score a touchdown. Cook ran for 79 yards against Pittsburgh last week. Tough defense there. He did do well against Kansas City earlier in the year. And to me, Cook, an underrated person in this game. Very underrated. I also look at the Bills to win the game. To me, this is their chance. They were very lucky to get the home field. Miami's collapse at the end of the season was a big factor. But you know what? Josh Allen, before the year, people were talking about him possibly winning the Super Bowl. Then during the season, a lot of people were down on Josh Allen. Guess what? Time to be back on Josh Allen. They will find a way, and Cook will be a huge factor.
Yeah, Howie, he has not been making any of those dumb mistakes the last couple of weeks that he made early on in the season. So, AB, as I come over to you, you like a little two-way parlay that you also agree with Howie. You like the Bills, but then the other side is what?
Do like the Bills today. All right, and we're going to go with Buffalo just to win the game and over 30.5 in the game. That's not Buffalo's team total. That is both teams. Over 30.5. You're going to get this at -110. What I want to do in this, not only this game, but both of them, but specifically this one, I don't want to overthink it. Keep it simple. What you think is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, you can overthink and try to get like I was doing it and I was like, I was literally on a whiteboard in my house drawing it, and I just took the whiteboard, just threw it out on the back porch. I was like, don't overthink it, son. Let's just get it and get after it. So, yeah.
What did the whiteboard do to you?
I know. You know what? Look, again, we're blaming my problems on stationary items here. So, yeah, you know.
I feel like that would be great content for crew members as we launch our new club on February 1st to shoot AB trying to figure out a whiteboard. I don't know. Maybe we'll put that on our list. Yes.
Hell, you come over to the house. Yeah, just come over to the house and watch it live.
Patrick says, was glad I found you guys again. Great work. Also, Trey says, yes, sir. Love the new show. Thank you. Format is great. Thank you. Awesome too. Insight is damn sure a lot of fun. Great job, guys. Let's make some money and keep on growing. Trey, you have no idea. This is the tip of the iceberg on what we have prepared for you over the course of the next 4 to 6 weeks. We will roll it all out for you, and you all will be able to participate. And a lot of you already hit me up about shoot your shot. You better get your videos ready. You better get your takes ready. You think you can be as good as Howie, Phil, AB sitting next to us? Oh, you got to earn that. But you're going to have a chance to shoot your shot. Now, I've got one play today. Out of the Bills side of things, there's a little-known player, and he's actually very little as well, but he's been playing very big the last 3 or so weeks. Khalil Shakir, over 32.5 receiving yards, -120, that over at BetMGM. Boy, wouldn't it be nice to have BetMGM as our official sports book? Interesting. Now, 3 for 31 last week, 6 for 105 the week before that, 4 for 39, 3 for 45. Translation, the last 4 weeks, he's either come close within a yard or gone over this number. Why are people sleeping, Coach Phil, on Mr. Khalil Shakir?
Because again, he's a diminutive receiver, so he's smaller. So and the reality is there's so many other options that you talk about with the Bills that you just kind of lose track of a guy like that. But with Gabe Davis not being available, there's got to be somebody else that steps into the yardage totals. And when you have a guy like Khalil Shakir with his ability to run after catch, his functional movement skills, you can see him. He will not go down off the first hit. The only issue with him this week is if he draws the McDuffie matchup the whole game. that would be difficult. But other than that, this guy should, because Gabe's out, this guy should be a huge factor today.
All right, Howie, let me come over to you because there's a lot of big-time names that we haven't even mentioned. We mentioned Kelsey. We mentioned Rice. But we have not talked about Stephon Diggs. His number's over 60.5. Dalton Kincaid, over 38.5. Justin Watson, James Cook in the air. McCole Hardman, Dawson Knox. There's a lot of guys that could step up today, but there's so many that both quarterbacks like to go to. How do you think the QBs are going to decide today who's going to be their favorite targets?
Well, first of all, on a betting standpoint, Knox Kincaid, you have to feel it's going to be a split. They're each going to get their share of passes, but will they combine to get enough yards? I would say questionable. The fact that Gabe Davis is out is the exact reason that Buffalo will go to that little wide receiver. I think that's an excellent play too.
Thank you.
To me, the other big names, I stick to Rice and I stick to Pacheco as being the keys. The other guys, I think, fall short of the number.
All right, to be clear, what Howie's talking about, 38.5 for Kincaid, and Knox is just 11.5. That kind of tells you the usage, AB, that the Bills have kind of gone towards, because before, last couple of years, we cashed with Dawson Knox all the time. But now Kincaid has kind of been the guy. When you look at the Bills side, is there anybody else before we get into the club that you are looking at? I guess either side.
Let me say this. It's nice that the Bills figured out how to clone Dawson Knox and create Dalton Kincaid, because they're just creating the same guy over and over and over. And Dawson Knox, shout out Nashville. There you go, man. He's a good dude. All right, now for Buffalo, I agree. Everything that you guys laid out, definitely on the tight ends, especially both of these quarterbacks when they're facing a rush, look to guys who run shorter routes, good hands that are trusted. Rashee Rice was crushing last week against Miami of 4 to 5 to 6 yard routes because Mahomes could just get it out quickly, or when he looked deep, he would check down and find Rashee Rice. So look for those tight ends for sure. But let's just say this for Buffalo, Josh Allen. Josh Allen himself is going to create so much havoc. Him rushing, I think his number sits attempts at 8.5. His rushing yardage, I believe, is in the 40s. I believe
42.5. 42.5. Yep.
42.5. Perfect. Josh Allen is going to be a massive problem. Both of these quarterbacks are, especially on third down. God, watch second down of where the distance is. Who's playing ahead of the sticks and who isn't? Who has short third downs and who has long third downs? Both of these quarterbacks, man, they are killers in regards to that. So, yeah, long story short, those guys, but Josh Allen himself, man, don't be afraid to play his props. Don't at all.
Both quarterbacks take advantage of what they are given. They see the field. They see if guys are being covered, and all of a sudden, oh, this is going to be open. Let me run. And to me, the way that they can do this is worth watching itself.
100%. Scott says, I'm surprised you guys did not have any Allen props. I think, Scott, part of the reason that none of the guys or myself, because Allen can have 80 yards rushing, or he can go through the air most of the game, have 3 touchdowns passes, and only have 20 yards. So like Howie just said, they take what they are given. AB, go.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. All right, so the Josh Allen, we didn't have any because we put it in the options for the crew. And I'll tell you which pick has won, and it's not that one. I'm just going to go ahead and say Josh Allen, anytime touchdown, and Bills money line plus 175. You could put that in on me. I'm all in on that one. Okay. So yeah. I just want to give
is that the crew's choice? The crew's choice? That's who won?
That is not. I can give it to you now if you want it.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
Their choice is Sam Laporta. Let me pull it up here.
Oh,
Sam Laporta, anytime touchdown, and Lions money line plus 150. That is what the crew has selected.
That's Howie.
That is their choice.
Hey,
absolutely.
They're tailing Howie.
Yep. They're following me after yesterday. Huh? I hope I would today, but that's
following you from all week. Yeah, I'm following it too.
Howie, damn, you're like hotter. What do they got? Hotter than fish greases. I've been watching a lot of Swamp People lately.
Hotter than fish grease.
All right, I need you all to hit that like button for me. It really helps the show grow, and you guys amazingly have got us to spots in 1 week that we thought it would take 6 months to get to. But I don't know why we questioned all of you at home. Now, this is the last part of the show. We will have another play from Howie at the very end of the show, but we got to decide who's going to get into the club, because one thing that was not on the recap screen was yesterday was what, AB?
Yeah, we hit a little, plus 2,500, no big deal, just Nelson Aguilar. Philly ran him out of town, and you know what? They were happy to pick him up and say, we'll throw you tutties, no problem. They trust him in the red zone. Absolutely.
All right, so today, who's going to get into the club? Because as we head into the final couple of weeks of the season, and Coach Phil is going to be very, very busy. I'm actually, the competitor in me says, no, I want to get in again. The heart in me says I want Coach Phil to get it done so his head doesn't pop off and he's still standing outside. So, Coach Phil, I'm going to start with you. Give me your 2 to try to get into the club today.
We will get to that in a second. Wait, I my head will not pop off. What I have learned is that I have great respect for people like Howie and AB and yourself through this process. I know a lot about football. You all know this. But when we start picking things, I haven't gotten one right all year. So I know my role. Okay. I know my lane to stay in. But that being said, Josh Reynolds on a deep crosser, running away from the defense, touchdown, plus 1,800. Second game, Dalton Kincaid, the Dawson Knox clone, but a little bit faster and a little bit better, gets in the end zone this week, and I get off the snide. The season-long snide, that is, Coach.
Yeah, we saw Isaiah Likely get into the end zone yesterday, and Kincaid as a tight end, maybe they lean towards him today in game number 2. AB, talk to me.
Cade Otton, first game, plus 2,000. You notice a trend here. We're going with tight ends, good hands, trusted in the red zone. So we're going to go Cade here at plus 2,000. And Dawson Knox, like I said, we're going to take the older version of Dalton Kincaid. It's kind of like my man, Shawn Michaels, that Dawson Knox and Michaels both say, hey, hands off the merchandise. We're catching tutties around here. So give me my man, Dawson Knox.
All right. And I'm going to go with Jamison Williams plus 1,800 in the first game just because I had a gut. I don't really have any reasons for it. It's just kind of a gut play. And then my big little guy, Khalil Shakir, plus 1,500. Now, you're saying, Coach, you're picking a Bills player to score the first touchdown when you're a Chiefs fan? Well, did you hear what Howie said? This is going to be decided in the third or fourth quarter. I know who my Chiefs are. They have not gotten off to quick starts all year long. Would I like to see it? Of course I would. But I got to bet with my head, not with my heart. Now, Brian says, surprise coach isn't disowning all of you blasphemous family members picking the Bills. Brian, you are correct. But I'm feeling very generous today. Now, yesterday, even though it wasn't north of plus 1,000, Howie actually picked the first touchdown of the 49ers game at plus 750 with George Kittles. So, Howie, who do you like today, sir?
Yeah, and I bet I did it without the odds. When I looked them up, I didn't even – I keep forgetting you have to do it by the odds.
That's okay.
I did Montgomery for Detroit.
Okay.
I did Cook for Buffalo. I think the running backs have a good shot of scoring first. Laporta would have been my second choice. Bottom line, eventually I'll learn that do it right. Do it the way you guys want me to do it, but
yeah, all those are not plus 1,000.
I can't get this right. At least the computer worked today. So
Howie, let me just say,
man.
You just keep going 647-0. You can do whatever the hell you want. You're fine.
Nobody's complaining about you.
That will not happen.
Yeah, Jared says Howie cannot miss, and Crystal says when you're hot, you're fired. Interesting. That sounds like a T-shirt. That sounds like a T-shirt. By the way, our merch store will be live February 1st. We'll have a featured merch item every single week on the show that you guys will help us pick because it's all about you, the universe. All right, before we get out of here, because the first game starts in exactly 4 minutes. Howie, you gave us a tennis play that cashed overnight. I woke up to my phone going, oh, of course, we did it again. Give me one more today, if you don't mind, sir.
Well, I'm 3-0 so far, so I feel pretty good. I'm going with Zverev over Nori because a money line pick. Nori had a great win over Rude, a long match, and Nori came to net way more than he usually does. If he does that against Zverev, Zverev will pass him. He'll lob over his head. Zverev is going to win this match. So I know it's not a great odd, but I'm going Zverev over Norrie.
Well, maybe people can put the money line with the Bills money line or something else they like that bring that number down, be something that you can play it. So that'll be nice. Phil, your final thoughts on the games coming up today?
When I saw that Zverev name, I thought like the Bills signed a new kicker or something. I was all, I was out of there. But once, I knew we were doing tennis. Just today, guys, enjoy the games. I mean, literally, you don't have that much football left. And football brings so many people together, families, friends. You can have meals and you're having libations and you're enjoying yourself. Just enjoy the game, be positive, and let's go Buffalo.
Shut it. All right, time for the closing bell with my man AB. Give it to me.
Absolutely. So the crew has chosen, as we said, Sam Laporta, Lions, money line, Laporta TD. That's what they're going with. Wanted to give you a look ahead to the AFC and NFC championships. I'm going to read it right off my phone here. Bills at Ravens would be Ravens -3 for a total of 47. Chiefs at Ravens, Ravens -3.5. NFC, Lions at 49ers. 49ers would be -6.5, total of 51. And the Bucs at the 49ers. 49ers would be -10 and a total of 46.
Wow. We will definitely talk about those future numbers tomorrow on Driving the Line right here at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I encourage all of you to join us there. John says, educate, entertain at its best. Many of you said, hey, it's great to have these shows right before the games one more time, the way it's supposed to be. Well, thank you all so very much. We love doing it more than you know, but we're just getting started. And I do mean we're just getting started. We're going to blow you away, and there's going to be so many different ways you can participate, you can learn, educate, and entertain. Knowledge is power, and that's what we're all about here at Driving the Line. So with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and I believe you all know. That's for you, Phil, what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets, except the Bills money line or the Bills -2.5. Straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, Lamar, the legend, Howie Schwab. Will he ever lose again? My man, Coach Phil, breaking it down as only Coach Phil can. And my man, AB, running the brand, doing the work, and everybody behind the scenes getting it done. And all of you at home participating and being such an important part of what we do. I am simply the coach trying to keep this train on said track. We grind for you so we can win with you. It's truly what we're all about right here at Driving the Line. Good luck.